All right, I think we're live. Happy Sunday, everybody. Got a little bit of a rail side chat for you. I thought I was going to maybe do a little more of Train Sim World 3 and just have the camera running on the trains, but I actually got a couple things I want to talk about, so I figured why not? We'll just go ahead and do a rail side chat. And I'm doing this on my iPad, so I'm not totally sure I know how to bring up chat, so might just have to be a thing for the time being. Should anybody have any questions, feel free to put it down there and I will try to answer them. Like I said, this is my first time on the iPad, so it could be a little bit interesting. But a couple of things. I am making quite a bit of good progress on the layout. I've been doing lots and lots of testing, probably over the last week. I gotta say, probably close to 70, 80 hours of run time. I even let the layout run overnight one evening just to see if it would make it all night and not have any derailments or anything. And to my surprise, I woke up and everything was still running, which is pretty cool. So a couple of small updates. If you haven't noticed, I have my ESU systems back from ESU, and I'm pretty conflicted with what ended up happening with them. And so I wanted to chat about that a little bit. I am going to reach out with them just to see if I can get a little more of a response. I'm a little confused as to when I first talked to a technician, when I was first running into these issues, really concerned, really confused at what was going on with my system, and made some promises that weren't necessarily followed through on. So I'm hoping to reach back out, and maybe talk to the same technician that I originally had the issues that I went over the issues with, and see if maybe I can get some information from him. But essentially admitted that the ECOS had an issue. Didn't tell me what the issue was or what actually was going on with it. Just offered to replace it since it was a new unit. And then tested my cab control system, determined that they couldn't find anything wrong with it, and sent it back. Didn't tell me what they did for testing, none of that. So I really didn't get any good usable information from them. So I'm going to try to reach out to them again, see if they can provide me some of that information, because at the end of the day, I would really like to share that with my viewers. Now, I have been pressure testing a couple of locomotives, and I've been a little hesitant to run some of my Broadways on here until I'm a little more confident. But I have that Great Northern Fantasy Scheme ES44 AC sitting right down there at the end of my yard there, and so I have been running it in consist quite a bit. I've been running it by itself quite a bit, and now I've had it sitting powered, because I do have power hooked up on my yard now, for probably 16 to 20 hours, just sitting on the yard powered on. And so far, in, like I said, about the 80-ish so hours that I've had the layout up and running, I haven't had any issues yet. So that is a promising sign. Hopefully I'm going to stop burning up decoders. That was kind of the other thing that I was a little unsure of. I burnt up a lot of decoders on this system. I think I ended up tallying everything, and I was up to 11 between the two, the ECOS and the original cab control. And some of that stuff was covered under warranty. Some of that had to come out of my pocket to get, repaired. And ESU said nothing about that. Really didn't make any. Well, the original technician made some offers to replace it with some of their decoders. That was not followed through on. So, no monetary anything, was provided to me. Or, hey, out of the goodness of our heart, we're going to throw in a new cab control too. We'll warranty that one, even though it wasn't within the warranty period. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm going to reach out to them, and we'll go and see what happens there. But so far, happy to have the system back. Now, there are a couple of changes on this command control system that I've noticed, and I've been able to lower my operating voltage. This is probably, I'm going to do some testing because I think that might be what was going on with the Broadway units. Now, this is strictly a theory. I have no proof of this, but I have a lot of operating hours on my Broadways, and I can tell you that they generally run a little bit hotter than some of my other engines do. Not really sure why the Paragon 3 and 4 decoders do, but they do. You can generally feel that they get pretty warm even under a light load. And I'm curious if the heat buildup from running a higher voltage, anywhere from 14.5 to 15 volts, through the Paragon 4 decoders, or even possibly the Paragon 3s. I think I had one of those fail. That heat buildup might cause, the eventual failure. And I'm wondering if that was what's going on. I can tell you that now, given the lower voltage, I'm running my track voltage at about 13.4 volts consistently. I've checked it with no load, no engines, everywhere on the track where I have feeders, the in voltage or in controller voltage, the one displayed on the ECOS, 13.4, matches every point on my layout where I have a feeder. And before people, especially manufacturers, start saying, "Oh, you can't use a multimeter to check your voltage," you absolutely can. It just requires that you have a true RMS multimeter, which honestly, most digital multimeters on the market now are that way. So absolutely can check it. It requires a little bit of know-how to understand how that works, but I know how to do that, and everything matches perfectly in the command station to a multimeter. So I'm confident that I have real good electrical, connectivity everywhere, and everything is put together really well throughout the layout. So moving on from that little debacle, I have really been enjoying not having, which seems odd because I built my original layout to have really steep grades on it because I think they look cool, but I'm really enjoying not having grades on my layout. It makes running really long trains a whole lot less stress inducing. There was always that chance as you were coming out of the grade, something would derail. With the higher quality cars, it didn't happen as often, but it did occasionally happen. And like I said, I left this running one night just to see if it would make it all the way through, and it's just been flawless. So having really good track work is really making the whole hobby a whole bunch more enjoyable. So at the end of the day, that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to make this more enjoyable. So with that said, I am testing a whole bunch of locomotives again. I plan to do the review for that Broadway ES44 AC this week. I want to kind of push it out because I have a lot of things to say about it, and I'm a little confused at what Broadway did with it. The following week, I have my week off again. We're going to do shorts and that type of stuff, and then have another one of these Railside chats. But the following week, I really want to delve into the RSD-15s. I've really, really liked them, although I do have a couple of criticisms. So, excuse me. I am pushing them back. I was going to do them before this ES44 AC, but I think it's more pertinent, being that they are a relatively new release compared to the RSD-15s. I probably have some information on them that might make people rethink possibly ordering them. So I want to get that one pushed out by this coming Sunday. So pressure testing it to make sure we don't have any issues. So far it's been pretty reliable, but I do have a couple of things to say. Other things I've really been enjoying, you can see the charger down there on the left-hand side of the screen right now. That is the Bachmann with the TCS WOW sound decoder in it. And I've got to say that Bachman really made a good decision switching over to the TCS decoders. That is far and away better than all of the economy value sound decoders I've been seeing in Bachman's in the past. This is a really good change for them, and I'm really glad they did it. Excuse me. The 302 you see coming by there on the top loop right now, I put a lock sound decoder in that. It has been absolutely, excuse me, absolutely perfect. Zero pickup problems. Some of the P42s, like the two I've got back over here, they they're absolutely phenomenal for standard, Cato locomotives. There are certain situations where they can kind of hiccup, and one of those situations is running on this 9 3/4 track right here. The way the pickups interface on those, they can cause a little bit of issue as you come around the real tight radiuses. And I've been testing the Cato charger there on this the 9 3/4 track to see if that issue followed over. Absolutely got it figured out, and it has been flawless ever since. Some of that might also be the ESU version 5 decoder. I have found that they're much better with poor track as compared to like the V4s, and that is something I want to get to. I have finally got myself that down there in the bottom left hand corner, that is a SD60E that has a version 4 lock sound decoder in it, and I've been testing it back and forth, that unit with a lock sound V5 in it as well. And I have some interesting things to say about how it functions when I get to that. So that review is probably a month out. I've been trying to get my hands on one of those for a long time, and I've been doing some interesting testing with that. So hopefully we'll get to that soon. Also, one of the other things I've really been enjoying, you just saw them go by. I picked up two AC 4400s from Cato. I've never had them. I did Gevos historically in my Catos. I had never had any Dash 9s or AC 4400s. I had some issues with the Gevos. The rear couplers always ended up weird, and certain decoders didn't allow you to fully seat the body properly. So I always kind of avoided them. Excuse me. Starting to get late and I'm getting tired. But I picked up the AC 4400s to see if they kind of fell into those same issues. And yes, with certain decoders, they do. Those both are running TCS decoders now. One of them came with the Digitrax. I just wanted to see. And I can tell you that the TCS decoders, when they're installed, they absolutely, the bodies can fit properly. It seems that it is the NCE decoders in my experience that cause those bodies to not be able to seat properly. There's like a capacitor or resistor or something on the back of the board. I can't remember. I'd have to go dig one out and see what it was that protrudes up excuse me, a little bit and causes the body to sit too high. But those two have really been good. They follow the good decoder rule, which is nice. I can slap the exact same settings that I use in all of my other TCS decoders in all of my Catos into those two units. They're drastically different in year of manufacture and lot number, exact same settings, and they were perfectly speed matched. So again, that is one of the best parts about using quality decoders is things like speed matching just become so much easier. Also, I've been bringing in a bunch of different pieces of rolling stock. I'm going to jump back into my rolling stock reviews this week. I kind of took this following week off, mainly because I didn't have my yard functioning real well yet, and I wanted to go back through and whatever piece of rolling stock I review, I always go back the weekend before I review it, do some running in and out of my turnouts, make sure what I remember to be the to be the case in my notes. Just double check, make sure I don't run into any issues, and I just didn't have the opportunity to do that. So this week we will be returning to the norm. I believe I'm going to look at one of my Fox Valley box cars. I might have another option if I'm not okay with that, but I'm going to do a little bit of work Monday, Tuesday night, making sure a couple of my pieces of rolling stock work the way they do, and I'll write up some reviews so I can put a couple of them out in the next couple weeks, get them busted out all at once. I really want to start doing some layout work. I picked up some paints this weekend while we were in Great Falls getting groceries, so I'm going to start doing that. I hope to figure out a good angle to videotape it so I can post it on my channel. Currently, I haven't quite figured that out yet, but I kind of want to go through some of my processes in different areas, get some comments from people, possibly some ideas on improving some other areas, but I have been making a little bit of progress that way. If I turn the camera over here, and this is going to be a little bit jiggly, so stay with me. I do have my water feature cut into the foam. Excuse me. It is. It's not currently waterproofed. I just threw some paint down in there to kind of get an idea of what it would look like. And if you bear with me here, that is kind of what it came out looking like. I'm relatively pleased. I couldn't have a super steep waterfall. I kept a couple of steps in there right where the lips of the foam were, just to have a little bit of a waterfall effect. But I don't want any water splashing up getting into my engine. So it has to be a pretty gentle flow down there. So that's kind of how that's going to look. I plan to come in with, when it dries up outside, I will come in with a little bit of dirt, do some dirt work in there, get that glued in properly, obviously some gravel and rock work throughout there. I will then come in and epoxy that so it is waterproof and smoothed out, and then we will install the water feature, and hopefully that all works really good. I'm excited to have an actual working water feature on here. I also came across some cool little add-ons for the layout. Right up over here, you will see my. I went ahead and glued in my little station, as well as I laid in a piece of leftover track for kind of a engine display area, kind of like you'd see on in real life. Sometimes you see old steam engines, have you. So that's installed. I did a little bit of ballasting and grass work just to kind of see what it would end up looking like. It's not in a perfect final state, but I do like kind of the way it turned out. So not sure if I am back. All right, not sure if I'm quite back live, but anyway, got my access panel right back over there. I have a board to go up in there now, so we will start working on putting the quarry in over there that it can be dropped out when I need to get back and do work in the back of the layout or rescue train should there be a derailment, although it has been really good so far. I also have my farmhouse back over there. I plan to do kind of a hillside, kind of in that back corner, build up some foam, do some scenery there. That'll probably happen when I get my backer boards up, so I'll have something to build into. But that's in the next couple of weeks. That'll probably happen. So we'll get a little bit of a little farm area right over there. And then up top over here, I have my UFO from my old layout. I haven't found a place to put that on the layout yet, but it will be hidden in here somewhere. And I was on eBay and found a deal on these little... one of them is perfect N scale. The other ones are close, but they are warbirds. There's a Corsair, a Warhawk. I want to say it's a Typhoon, and then a Lightning there. I still need to get the Mustang part of this series, but I got all 4 of those super cheap on eBay. They were part of a lot that was kind of misspelled. It was a super awesome find, so that's awesome. I'm going to have them in the sky, kind of back up on my backer board. That'll be a neat little detail, but where they're sitting now, I have decided that I want to put in a little bush strip right there, and I'm hoping that I can find a Piper Cub that I can put there. We'll do a little landing strip in the trees, and we'll have a Piper Cub sitting on the landing strip. So that's what I want up top there. I'm going to do a little more profiling to that hillside to make it a little more of a hill. And then hopefully in the next couple weeks, once we get our base layer of paints down, I can come in and start doing some grass and tree work in some of these areas where I don't have to do a whole lot of messing with the terrain, not a whole lot of scenery to do. So hopefully in the next month or so we will get to that. And then over here I do have to try to put together my logging mill kit that I was given for Christmas. It's going to need some minor modifications to work with my little lake river area over here, but I do plan on having a logging mill over here. And you can see I've got my GP60 that I custom did the DCC system in, just sitting on my turnout. Currently, I have left that unpowered. I'm unsure if I want to power it or not, if I just want to use the switch to get power over to it. So toying with the idea of maybe coming in and dropping another feeder in on it. Anyway, a little bit of a small layout update and kind of what I got coming in the future. I should probably lay it out. I am kind of putting together a plan. There are some new locos coming out. Honestly, don't know what I'm going to be able to afford in the future. I'm going to need to sell some of my equipment, but ES44 AC from Broadway this Sunday. Next review, we are looking at the RSD15s from Broadway. After that, I'm probably going to jump into the Bachmann charger, followed by the Kato charger. I have a couple of Atlas engines I want to look at. I might do a combo review on those since they're old. And then probably time to go ahead and look at the big boy at that point. Kato's big boy might be releasing at that point, so it might be a good time to look at it. I really want to test the big boy. There's lots of intricate stuff with it. It needs some track time. They're still out there and available. I would tell you that if you were considering buying one, they're very finicky about track work. They tend to not like anything tighter than 12 3/4 in my previous testing for minimum radius, and it's gorgeous. It is a really beautiful model. It is absolutely worth looking into if you have that kind of money laying around, but a review is definitely still needed. So yeah, I am pretty well backed up into at least June or July. I got to look at these new GP60s. I really should be maybe considering, instead of 2 reviews a month, maybe doing 3 and then leaving 1 off, because I do probably need to get caught up. But I will, I'll consider that in the future. But see if I have any chat right now. Not that I can see. So I guess with that said, I'll conclude this, and everybody have a good night. So I will see you later.